Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Mr. Pad Paramahansa, Padurikacharya Ashtotar to Sri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Padurikacharya Ashtotar to Sri Srimad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavini ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So on page 526, text 1819. And the title of tonight's presentation is The Qualities of Pure Devotees, Part 3. Stay equipoised, satisfied in devotion, and make Krishna the goal of your life. Hare Krishna. All right. Give me 1 second. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. So on this 21st day of June, Monday, in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 12 entitled Devotional Service, reading texts 18 and 19 on page 526. So we'll chant the first one, I'll chant the second one alone. Samaha Shatra Chamitrecha Tata Manapamaneyoho Samakshatrau Chamitrecha Tata Manapamaneyoho Shitoshna Sukadukeshu Samah Sangha Vivarjitaha Shitoshna Sukadukeshu Samak Sangha Vivarjitaha Samakshatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho shitoshna sukadukeshu samaksanga vibhajitaha Samakshatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho shitoshna sukadukeshu samaksanga vibhajitaha. Glenn. Samakshatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho shitoshna sukadukeshu samaksanga vibhajitaha. Samakshatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho shitoshna sukadukeshu samaksanga vibhajitaha. Samakshatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho shitoshna sukadukeshu samaksanga vibhajitaha. Samakshatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho shitoshna sukadukeshu samaksanga vibhajitaha. Samakshatrau cha mitre cha tata manapamanayoho shitoshna sukadukeshu samaksanga vibhajitaha. Okay, before we go on, just a few notes on chanting, pronunciation. So one is the H with a dot under it. You only sound that at the end of the line. Like we have two lines here. The verses are actually two lines. We've written them in 4 lines for easier chanting in different books, but here to save space, we did 2 lines, which is what. So at the end of the first line or the second line, you sound it oho or aha. But the sama doesn't sound. There's a samach, just a little like that. Samach, sanga vibhajitaha. And then just watch out for your longs and shorts. Shitoshna, not shitoshna. Shitoshna sukadukeshu, like that. Okay, so I'll read the synonyms. I'll do the second verse first. Tulyanindas, you can chant if you want to try it. Tulyanindas tutirmauni santushto yena kenachit aniketas tiramatir bhaktiman me priyo naraha. Samaha equals shatrau to an enemy, cha also mitre to a friend, cha also tata so mana in honor, apamanayoho and dishonor, shita in cold, ushna heat, sukha happiness, dukeshu and distress. Samaha equipoised, sanga vibhajitaha, free from all association, tulya equal, ninda in defamation, stutihi and repute, mauni silent, santushtaha, satisfied, yena kenachit, with anything, aniketaha, having no residence, stira, fixed, matihi, determination, bhaktiman, engaged in devotion, me, to me, priyaha, dear, naraha, a man. Can we close that maybe till about 6 inches, just, what to do the thing. Translation. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Purport. A devotee is always free from all bad association. Sometimes one is praised and sometimes one is defamed. That is the nature of human society. But the devotee is always transcendental to artificial fame and infamy, distress or happiness. He is very patient. He does not speak of anything but the topics about Krishna. Therefore he is called silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only of essentials. And the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is happy in all conditions. Sometimes he may get very palatable foodstuffs, sometimes not, but he is satisfied. Nor does he care for any residential facility. He may sometimes live underneath a tree, and he may sometimes live in a very palatial building. He is attracted to neither. He is called fixed because he is fixed in his determination and knowledge. We may find some repetition in the descriptions of the qualifications of a devotee, but this is just to emphasize the fact that a devotee must acquire all these qualifications. Without good qualifications, one cannot be a pure devotee. Harava bhaktosya kukto mahadguna. One who is not a devotee has no good qualifications. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, this is quite a list we're reading here. And you can see how it's impossible for materialists to really attain these qualities. Samakshatracha mitrecha, to be equipoised or to regard as equal your enemy and your friend. Now that means that on your side, you don't especially favor or have any enmity toward anyone. Otherwise, then you're not meeting this qualification. But others may think you're their enemies. I remember during the deprogramming days, we had a whole lot of parents who thought that the devotees were their worst enemies because they're taking their sons and daughters and brainwashing them, and who knows what's going to happen, you know. So how to remain equipoised in that? Not easy. And then there's also a similar thing, tata mana apamanyo. Mana is honor, apamanyo is dishonor. Now, they're both difficult to stay equipoised. If someone starts praising you, you know, automatically you start to feel pretty good about it. But if someone starts insulting you, well, what has he got against me? You know, what did I do to that person? So, you know, this is what I mean. The internet is all about, right? Praising and blaming, likes and dislikes, up down, up thumbs, thumb down thumbs. So, because the people who create the internet know that the more likes you get, you know, the more likely you'll be to visit that site again and do this and all that. You know, like they play on this. So, doesn't this ring a bell? The third verse of the Shikshastika? Triyanadapi sunichena, todarapi sahishnuna, amanina manadena kirtani iksadahari. This amanina means that you don't want any honor for yourself, and you're ready to give honor to others. I remember I was 2 years in the movement. I'm riding on a train from Mayapur to Hyderabad. This is my first trip to India. It was a miracle that it took place. We didn't buy any tickets. We were all sent as the BBT to the opening of the Krishna Balaram temple. You know. Anyway, so the first stop was Mayapur, where I immediately got sick. You know. Very difficult in India. I didn't know about how to avoid the sickness, so I was sick some of the time. Anyway, we got on this train to go to Hyderabad. Prabhupada was going to speak there. The temple wasn't completed, so we're setting it down our little beds, sleeping bags, on rough concrete. You know, that was part of a foundation for a temple that was being built. All right. So on the way to Hyderabad, I was in this train, and naturally, I was tired. I wasn't in the best of consciousness, and I started saying something that wasn't so nice about some devotee, And immediately, the devotee who was more experienced than me, I was riding with him. Stop! He said, stop. Let me give you a little tip. Try to always glorify. If you're in the glorifying mood, glorifying the devotees, glorifying Krishna, then that tendency to demean others, to blaspheme, will be checked. The glorification gives you, in Krishna consciousness, gives you so much transcendental pleasure that whatever mode of ignorance pleasure comes from demeaning others won't even enter your mind. So always be glorifying, and I always take that to heart. I remember if you hear any lectures by Radhanath Swami, I remember I was in L.A. This was 20 years ago at least. And I used to spend a little more time up there for book production. And he was giving a class. And one of his main devotees there, disciples, in Chowpatty had left his body. It wasn't a young guy, he was older. I think his name was Abhiram Thakur. And he was known, and he gave the whole class just glorifying this devotee. And he went on after an hour, he was just getting started. This is how much he loved glorifying this devotee. It was a great story. He had joined in Pakistan, and he had been initiated by another guru who left the movement. So he got reinitiated by Radhanath Swami, came to Chowpatty, settled in there. And he was an older man, and he was taking care of the brahmacharis. He himself was a brahmachari, but he was older, he wasn't able to go out, So he was always watching, make sure they get prasadam when they get back, if they got sick and everything. And he was always singing songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. While he was doing his duties and everything like that. So I just saw how much pleasure Radhanath Swami was getting out of glorifying this devotee. And this is really something we should look to do if we can. It's a very nice practice. You'll find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita chapters where Krishna's Kaviraj is glorifying Lord Chaitanya's devotees, and Lord Chaitanya himself, but the devotees as well. So that's very fine quality. Manapamanayo, not wanting any, plaudits for yourself, but always ready to glorify. And then sama. Again, this is sama. Both lines of sama. Now it's a physical thing, right? Chatra mitre is like emotional. You have to be equipoised. Yeah, someone hates you, someone likes you. Okay, and this is now physical. Shita, ushna, sukha, dukeshu, sama. So this goes way back to the beginning of his instructions. Who knows that verse about tolerance? 2:14. Matra sparshas. Not on your list. Matra sparshas to konteya. Shitoshna sukha dukkha da. Krishna is saying there, 2:14. After he's saying, he's trying to get Arjuna to fight in the war, right? That means he's got to kill people who he loves. The hardest thing for him. His courage is off the charts. He's not afraid of dying in the battle, but he's terribly afraid of being the cause of death of people he loves. This is a higher platform. But even that, Krishna is saying, this is also Maya. So Krishna spends all this time in the second chapter declaring the eternality of the soul. In other words, nobody dies. Nobody's going to die. Both Bhima and Drona, they have elderly bodies. You'll be doing them a favor. They'll get a new body, and because I'm on the battlefield, I'm here. They'll go back to Godhead, basically. Bhishma Dev rather is going back to Godhead. So that's one thing. But even if it's just going to another body, the point is that yes, there's going to be pain. We have to realize if the people we love die for one reason or another, what to speak if we're involved in killing them. So therefore, even though you know that nobody dies, that they're going to another, still the pain of separation is there. There's no denying it. Therefore, you have to tolerate. You have to be tolerant. Matra sparsha. Matra sparsha means the touch of the senses with the sense objects. Shita Ushna. Now Prabhupada says summer and winter and summer, because in India winter is really pleasurable and Ushna is not, right? But either one can be pleasurable. Shita can be trouble and Ushna is not. But in both of them, Sukha Dukkha Da, whether they give happiness or pain, one has to tolerate. Matra Sparshita Shita Ushna Dukkha Du Agama Payino. This is the key. It comes and goes. You have to see that it's all temporary. The happiness is going, the pleasure you're going to, going for and trying to enjoy, and you do enjoy, is temporary. The pain that you're suffering is also temporary. So in order to be equipoised, in other words, keeping your mind steady, you have to resist the allurements to enjoy this flickering happiness, and you have to resist the when its suffering is there, of losing your composure and losing your Krishna consciousness. You have to be tolerant in both. Agamapayano anityas, they're temporary, they come and they go. Tam tatikshas sabharata, therefore tolerate. That's a very important, and that's what he's talking about. And then the final one, in the first verse, Sangha Vivarjita. Now Sangha Vivarjita, Prabhupada, he emphasizes that. A devotee is always free from bad association. He goes to that one first. Because everything depends on association. Sangat sanjayate kama, it's a famous line from the second chapter. Your association produces your desires. As you hang out, everyone knows that, every mother knows that. Your kid's 11 years old, going out, play with his friends. Which friends are you playing with? Not that kid down the end of the block, who smokes dope. Forget that. You can't. Because Sangat sanjayate kama. So Sangha is everything. Choosing the proper association is you're making your destiny. And that's why Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi Lavamata Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. One moment's association with a pure devotee can transform your whole life, your whole lives, your destiny. Right? If you if you're receptive to the seed of bhakti, or at least you become interested and fascinated and you pursue it. But association with people in the modes of ignorance and passion is contaminating. It's just like getting the virus. You'll catch it. You'll catch that association, that interest. You'll go into that places where that mode is common, and your consciousness will be covered. So here is Sangha Vivarjita, free from all association, all bad association, not devotee association. Then he goes on, Tulya. Now we had this verse recently in the Bhagavatam. I wasn't here, but it was one of these famous verses. Let's see if you can recall. Tulyam alavenapi nasvargam napanarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kimutashisha. This verse appears, maybe with slight variation, 3 times in the Bhagavatam. You know it's an important verse. So Tulyama, this word Tulya means equal. That verse is begins the next. That word begins in Tulya Ninda. He's repeating. Prabhupada says repetition is okay. Tulya Ninda means you're equal in infamy, Ninda, blasphemy, and praise. Isn't that the same as Tata Manapamanayo, Sama? It's the same thing. Manapamanayo means being offered praise. Apamanayo is told Tulya. Now this verse about Tulyama Lavenapi is important because that has also the praise of Sangi. Of Sangha. With whom? A Bhagavat Sangi. Now let's just learn a little Sanskrit now. Okay? Sangha is association. Sangi is one who associates. So Bhagavat Sangi is one who's always associating with God. In other words, a fully God-conscious, pure devotee. So association with such a person, a Bhagavat Sangi, cannot be compared. It's so great that it can't, even a moment of that, Lavenapi Naswargam, going to heaven is insignificant compared to that. And Apunar Bhavam, who can guess what that means? Bhava we know, Bhava Sagara, we're in it. That's the material ocean. Yeah, Bhava is birth and death. Now, Puna means again. Apunar means not again, not coming back. In other words, liberation. Apunar Bhagavat Sangi Sangat Tuliyamana Swargam Na Apunarbhavam. Even not coming back, moksha, what to speak of going to heaven? Getting liberated is better than going to heaven, because you go to heaven, you come back. But you get moksha, supposedly that's it. You're free, you're liberated, right? So even that doesn't compare. Even that doesn't compare with a moment's association with a genuine associate of the Lord, in other words, a pure devotee. Because we know, right, that pure bhakti is much greater than liberation. We've been hearing that. We heard that in this morning. That real devotees who are associated with Krishna at every moment, they don't care a fig for liberation. It's okay. It's okay. What does Krishna say? Lord Chaitanya, Shikshastika, number 4. Let's all chant it together. Okay, I'll say it. You say. Nadanang, najanang, nasundarim, kavitang va jagadish kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavata bhakti dahoy tuki tvahi. So this is a very important prayer, because Lord Chaitanya is teaching us what not to pray for. Why should we? We're praying to the Jagadishwar. Now, this is something to watch for in our various prayers. Every morning we're doing the Tulsi song. It's a long prayer, right? So, what does it say? Namo namo tulasi Krishna preyasi namo namo. Radha Krishna seva pavo abhilashi. Right away, he's defining the object of the prayer. This is my abhilash, my ardent longing is for this. This is what I want, right? Not anything else. Yetomara sharanaloy tara vancha purna hoy. Now right there is the definition of who Tulsi is that whoever takes shelter of you has his wishes fulfilled. You have the power to do that. Now in this verse by Lord Chaitanya, it's a similar thing, Jagadishwar. In other words, you're the Lord of the universe. Therefore I'm praying to you because you can fulfill my desires. But I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want a beautiful spouse. Kavitam. Now kavitam has different meanings. It can mean, as Prabhupada says, the goal of going to heaven and all of these things that are spoken of in great poetry and highly touted. Going to heaven, the Nanda gardens. We're not familiar with it because our Shastra demeans that. Who wants to go to heaven and associate with Indra? He's sorry, Indra. I mean, no offense, but I mean his conditioned soul. He loses it. He's not Sama Sangha Vivajna. If he gets insulted, he'll go into right. Then he feels sorry and he prays. So anyway, we don't want to go to heaven. We're not aiming to go to heaven. We're aiming to go to Goloka, where you don't come back. So nadanam, wealth. This is what people usually approach God for, right? In other words, they want wealth, they want followers, they want a beautiful spouse. And kavitam can also mean great education, which is another part of the opulence. Janmaishwaya Shuta Shribir. Shuta is education. So, I don't want that. Nadanang, nasundarim, kavitang va, jagadisha kamaye. I'm not desirous of these things. And then he says, mama janmani janmanishware, which implies I don't want liberation. All I want, birth after birth, right? So it's implied. So now he says, what does he want? Bhagavad, bhaktir, ahoitiki, tvahi. This word keeps coming up, right? Now ahoitiki, hetu is a cause or a motive, something you want. Ahoitiki means no material motive. That's the implication. We have a motive. We want to please Krishna. When that becomes our only motive, we're pure devotees. We're so conditioned for these material things that it's a process of purification. But we know the goal, and we know the means. Next time I get to give Sunday lecture, actually there's one scheduled for me in Brampton, Toronto, by Zoom in a few weeks. The theme is Sadhya and Sadhana. Sadhya and Sadhana. Okay, does anyone know what that means? Yes. Sadhya is what you're aiming for, and sadhana is the means of getting there. Now, this is reflected in every endeavor, material or spiritual. The question is what is your sadhya? What is your goal in life? Understanding what our goal should be and then finding out the means to do it is the whole process of devotional service. But that's why knowledge is so important. Otherwise, our sadhya, our goal, is going to be something related to this body or the mind, but neither of them is us. In other words, we're being cheated by our absorption in the material energy and taking our goals there. The lower animals, the insects, they all have their sadhya and sadhana, right? You got the ants, sadhya, something sweet, isn't it? Whether it's honey, sugar, that's their goal. If one of them finds something, they have a means of communicating. Before long, there's a whole line going, right? And they're all in ecstasy. Prabhupada said they like to get intoxicated because they eat the sugar and it ferments, So anyway, that's their life. It's tragic when you think about it. The same soul is in that ant's body that's in our body. But the consciousness is much, 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 much more covered. So they just know, food eating, what they have, and safety somehow, fight or flight, mating, whatever. So it's very covered over. But eventually they come up, and they get a human form. And then in this human form, we need to find out from the right source what we should strive for. Because our senses are all telling us, go here, go there, that's it. But we have the higher intelligence, that's the human form. And we can understand, the best thing of all is if I can have really superior happiness that never ends. But you soon find out, it's never like that, so we'll settle for, peak experiences and, the ordinary thing. In other words, you don't know what to strive for, and therefore the means just gets you more and more entangled in Maya. And that's why meeting the pure devotee, reading Prabhupada's books is so important. Because immediately he's cutting through that. No! Don't strive for these temporary things. This is Maya's trick. The temporary happiness of this world is what she's alluring us with. Here is the goal. The claim is ever-increasing infinite happiness in relation to Krishna. We read about it in the books. We read about historical figures who experience it. It's not just somebody's fantasy. And we're given the means, especially in this age. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam. Kalo nastyeva, nastyeva, nastyeva gata danyata. This is a really easy one to learn. There's only about 3 or 4 words in there. So Hare Nama, we know. And repetition, it's not even repetition, but it's triplication. Everything is 3 times, there's no doubt about it. So Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam. Alone, solely. That's what eva kevalam. Chanting of the holy name. Kalau, in this age of Kali. That's what that means, Kalau. Na asti. Na asti. There is not. Asti means is, and is not. There is not. Nastyeva, certainly. No doubt about it. Nastyeva, 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 gatir anyata. Now this word gati keeps coming up. In our morning songs, this Guru Vashtaka and the Guru song, they both have the word gati. Now gati means goal, and it means the means to get to the goal. And in both of the songs we sing, as well as this verse, gati means the means to the goal. And carried with it means the goal itself. The goal is realizable. So what is the means of reaching the goal in this age is only chanting. If you want to achieve the supreme goal of life, that's a big if. That's what we're talking about. Say sadhya. If you want to achieve the supreme goal of life in this age, when dissension and chaos abound, that's the definition. That's what Kali means: fighting, struggle, strife, arguing, murder. The age of Kali. If you want to achieve the supreme goal of life in this age when dissension and chaos abound, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way that can ever be found but to chant Krishna's name, but to chant Krishna's name, but to chant Krishna's name with a stout-hearted vow, and to pray, "O Lord Krishna, O friend of the poor, let my head ever under your lotus feet bow." Now I added that last line because I needed the 4th line. But that's kind of your determination to chant, not just superficially, but take a vow of vrat. That's what initiation is about and everything. So, where were we? So, tulya ninda. It's the same idea, it's repeating. Tulya ninda stutir mauni. So that's mauni is another idea. Mauni is silence. Now, the Prabhupada makes very clear in the purport, silence doesn't mean not talking. It means not talking nonsense. And while I was reading that, I was thinking of a verse, which I'm going to share with you, which is, it's just struck me. It's a Bhagavatam verse, and it's one of these verses that, anyway, for me, captured my attention. So it's Brahma speaking. I think it's during his description of the spiritual world in the third canto, and he's describing who gets to go to Vaikuntha and who doesn't. And this is the verse describing who doesn't go. Yanna vajant agabedor vachananuvādat trinbandiye nibishaya kukata matigni yastushruta hatabagaya nibir atasaras tang tancha pancha shadaneshu tamaksu hanta. The word hanta means alas. He's lamenting. That's hanta. Is like. So he says, yan na vajanti. Vajanti means go. Who doesn't? These are the people who don't go. Yan na vajant. Agabida. Agabida is a name for Krishna, means he who destroys sin. Agabida. He cuts it apart. Rachananuvādat. Rachananuvādat means a creation of words. In other words, either a book or something oral you're hearing. So Rachananuvādat, Trinbanti. He doesn't get to go to Vaikuntha who hears creation of words. A book, someone speaking, like that. We're hearing all the time. Shindandiye Annivishaya. Vishaya in this context means a subject. Subjects that are not about Agabido, the destroyer of all sin, Krishna. In other words, all kinds of prajalpa. Rachanana about it, Chindvani Annivishaya, which is known as Kukata. We know what Krishna Kata is, right? Krishna Katamrita, right? It's liberating, it's purifying, it's Krishna himself in the form of his name. But here is Kukata. Ku means bad, just like Kudharma or anything ku. So Kukata Matigni, this kind of vibration, which we're surrounded with everywhere, destroys your intelligence. Mati, mind, intelligent. Gni means to destroy. Yastu Shuddha Hatabagai, one who listens to that, Hatabagai is lost all his good fortune. Nirbir means a human being. Nirbir atasaras. Now this is a very important word. It means it steals away all your virtue, all your interest in uplifting things and mode of goodness and everything. In other words, it covers you over a lot. And tang, those topics themselves, chipanti, throw you down, ashadaneshu, to the place where there's no shelter in the darkness, tamaksu hanta, alas. What Brahma is saying. Everything is sound vibration. Now, in the morning class, we're just finishing up now Narada's instruction, right? Now you look at the prominence of Narada in this whole pastime. He's always there with the King Prachanabhari, right? Given this whole analogy, we just seen 4 or 5 chapters, right? And you have the Prachetas, the very pious Vaishnava sons, who get the mercy of Lord Shiva. He arranged for them to meet him. And they get his song, and they go meditate on it, and everything. So now at the end, when they come out, he's also preaching to them. Narada is saved Prachanabhari. He's also, gone off and is doing bhakti now, right? No more of these elaborate sacrifices. And now he's finishing up enlightening the Prachetas. Now this one verse we read 2 days ago, it's all about the purification through hearing and chanting. Apahata sakalaishana, I memorized this one. Apahata sakalaishana malatman avidatamedata bhavanopahuta nijajana vashagattam atmano yan nasadati chindavat aksharaksatami. But it has that nice beat too. So what is he saying there? Apahata sakalaishana malatman. This is just the opposite of this unfortunate soul who is always hearing subject matters that have nothing to do with Krishna, destroying his intelligence and getting covered over and thrown down. So the devotees, on the other hand, they're completely purified, and all of their material desires have been taken away by their intense bhakti. Aviratam. Now this is the line that got me. Aviratam, they ceaselessly aided the bhavanopahuta. They're always calling out to the Lord, with great seriousness and earnestness. Apahata means, avirata means without ceasing. Apahata, aviratam edita, ever increasing emotion, ever increasing sincerity. That's what the edita means. And then what's the result? Krishna comes under their control. He knows he's under the control. That's in there. Nididana vashagatvam atmanoyan nasadati chidin. He never gets separated. He'll never separate from them. As long as we're always calling out, either orally or from within the heart, to Krishna, please save me. Like we're learning about Prabhupada, how he would pray not to fall down. He would call out. You have to keep that intensity up, when you're surrounded by all of this Maya. Our only strength is Krishna. And so we call upon him deep within our heart, then he will protect us. And Maya won't be able to attract us and we'll be able to become equipoised even in all this dangerous situation. So
I have a question.
I know. Just give me a couple of more minutes, okay? And then I'll ask.
Okay,
I'll call on you. I won't freeze you out. All right, so then we're almost through here. Santushto yenak. Somehow or other, he's always satisfied. Now that satisfied is welling up from within. In other words, if you're really in touch with Krishna, you're constantly drinking that nectar. That's what the whole reservoir of pleasure is about. That little pamphlet, Krishna, the name is so wonderful. It's full of bliss. If you're always chanting and remembering Krishna, then you've got a link to that pleasure source, and therefore, whatever's happening externally, you'll be happy. That's what Prahlad says. I'm never disturbed, my Lord. He's in front of Lord Nrsingadev. Right? I'm never disturbed because I'm with you and you're across the ocean of Vaitarani. You're already in the spiritual world. So even if they're beating him on my body, I don't feel it. I just absorb my mind. And anywhere I want, this is a key phrase, Twadvirya Gayana Mahamrita Magnachitta. I can sing your powerful glories. Virya means strength. Gayana Mahamrita Magnachitta, and immerse my mind in an ocean of nectar. So what do I have any trouble? I don't need anything from outside. You can be under a tree or in a cave or anything. But, and here's the key for us, but I am disturbed because of all of these fools and rascals that are trying to enjoy. Shoche, I'm lamenting. They're so ignorant. They're trying to enjoy Maya Sakaya. Shoche tato vimukha chetasa. Now vimukha, these words are so important. Mukha means face. Vimukha means turning your face away from Krishna. They're a consciousness. Vimukha chetasa. Vimukha chetasa. Maya sukaya bodhamudva. They're trying to enjoy illusory happiness. And wearing the great burden of trying to enjoy that in this world. Udvahito vimudha, these fools and rascals. So I can help them by giving them you. And therefore I'm not going to desert them. So that's my anxiety. And we see the great souls, they all have that. Prabhupada had it. Why did he get on that boat? He had his order from his spiritual master. He had Lord Chaitanya's prediction. But he also had his heart that was feeling all these poor souls, they don't have Krishna. So therefore, he'll either die trying or he's going to do it. Either way, it's a success. But Krishna protected him miraculously. And the whole thing is we're living a miracle right here. There's no reason in the world other than the transcendental power of Krishna and the desire of the pure devotees that this temple is sitting here right now in this middle of this Pacific beach. You go down one block and it's all, Maya. It's and some varieties of Maya. But here is an oasis, this is a beacon of light. People. So finish up the purport and then you're on, Vijay. Santusha Yena Kanachit, Aniketa, no fixed residence, that's another great detachment, but always fixed in mind. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Okay, I'm ready for you, Vijay. You there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. The quote from the purport is as follows. Quote, one who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications.
Yeah.
Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them. End quote. So my question is as follows. I often hear from the devotees that when something is very difficult to be executed, if the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is there, then it becomes very easy to be performed. But on the contrary, if something is very easy to be performed, but the mercy of Lord Chaitanya is not there, then this action becomes very difficult to be performed. So my question is, why is that? What is the reason for this?
What you're referring to is a verse, which Bhakta Glenn, who's an ocean of verses, he knows this one. Go ahead. What is it? Yat Smrite?
No.
How does it start?
I don't remember.
You forgot it. Okay. All right. So did I, because I don't. But there's a verse in the Adi Lila, I believe. For one of these verses at the beginning of the chapters. These are very important. And basically it says, for one who remembers Lord Chaitanya, that which is very difficult becomes easy. But for one who forgets him, that which is very easy becomes difficult. To that Lord Chaitanya I offer my humble obeisances. Right? That's pretty. So that's what you're thinking of. Now that's. I thought you were going to answer a different question, but I'll deal with this one first. And that is, yes, the devotee feels that he's doing the Lord's will. He's trying to satisfy the Lord, but the success or failure of it is up to Krishna. In other words, if Krishna gives me the power to do it, I'm going to try my best, but it's up to him. And therefore, if I try my best, then it's a success on my side. So that's the question whether it's a success or not. So in this way, with that attitude, and if the devotee is genuinely desiring to succeed and he's doing something that's really Krishna's desire, then Krishna can do wonders and the devotee can accomplish things that otherwise seem impossible. Just like this whole movement is like that. Prabhupada was empowered, and through him, so many devotees were empowered to do things that were practically impossible. Okay, Bhakti Prakash, there's no devotees in Germany. We want you to go and start a center there. That's your assignment. Alone. Now, there was a devotee who sent that. Now he had one qualification. He knew how to speak German. But he was all alone. So what did he do? Well, he went there with some cartels, went on the street, started chanting. And he somehow found a friend and found a place, to advertise, and started ISKCON Germany. But, no one in a million years would try to do that. It's not a money-making thing, It's only because this is what his spiritual master went, and he was sustained by the letters getting, from Srila Prabhupada. Getting one of those letters when you're in there's a devotee who went to South Africa. He went with several other devotees. He was very young. If you ever go to Laguna Beach, I think he stays there, you'll meet him. Chudhi. He went there, and he was like 18, and they were like 21, and there were like 3 or 4 of them, and then they all left, and we just left him in South Africa. And he had some books, and he had some names and some numbers of some Indians down there, And somehow he sustained it and kept it going for I don't know how long until he got some reinforcements, But it was a tremendous experience, a lifetime experience of how Krishna will provide, So that's the idea. It's directly related here to what Prabhupada says at the end of the purport, which is it's almost like a paradox. One who wants to be recognized as a devotee should develop the good qualifications. But then he immediately says, of course, he doesn't extraneously endeavor to acquire those qualifications, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps in develop them. So they seem to be a contradiction. If you should try to develop them, then but they'll develop automatically, then what's the point, But this is what Krishna consciousness means. In other words, you try your best with whatever facility you have, Just like all of this Sanskrit I'm chanting, I mean, in a million years I would have never thought I'm going to be doing this, I mean, it wasn't in the program. I was, just a regular guy going up. But as soon as I got involved in Krishna consciousness and I came in touch with the language, it just struck a chord with me. And from the moment I was a bhakta, I was trying to memorize verses, and I was attracted to it, maybe from a previous life, But the point is that because I was trying to be Krishna conscious, I was surrounded in that atmosphere. We were going on Harinam all day. All of this Sanskrit, all of this became very attractive, and it's still attractive. So the qualities develop, but it's also good to know them, because within the purification that's taking place by your sadhana, these qualities will start to blossom. But you can also consciously help them. In other words, to be tolerant in happiness and distress. Well, you can do things to develop that, to build up that muscle. Like we just had a nirjal, right? I mean, I'm too old to do that. I did it for years, nirjal every Ekadashi. But then one year I went, it was in India, and I was perspiring. I wasn't drinking any water. I got faint. I said, this is no good. So I took some prasadam yesterday. No grains, no beans, But anyway, that's one of the austerities, And if you do it, you kind of build up your austerity muscles. And before long, it becomes natural. Getting up early and coming to Mangalartik. Have you noticed how that, that's not easy to sustain. Some people come, but then they can't come, right? Some people years later, it's hard to get up, That's the value of the ashram. Ashram is peer pressure. Lights are on, everybody's getting up. What am I going to do, sleep here in the bag? All right, I'll get up there. And after a while, you're also getting up. Because, you can mold your consciousness, that's the idea. So you develop them, but at the same time you have the purification is taking place, so they naturally develop. Because they're in there. This is another verse about this. I'll say, oh God, we have to start early maybe. And that is Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoi. This is kind of paradoxical, because he uses the word sadhya in a little different way. This is one of the key verses in the CC. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte Kodaye Udoi. This is Lord Chaitanya teaching Sanatana Goswami. The eternal perfection of prema, love of Godhead. Sadhya Kabunoi, it's not a sadhya in the ordinary sense. In the sense that you work hard to get something, you have the sadhana and you get it materially. It's already there. You already have it within you. Every soul has this love of Godhead. But it's all covered and distorted. It's now expressed as kama. The prema is expressed as kama. Not just sex desire, but everything that's self-centered. This is our worst enemy. Lord Chaitanya Lord Krishna certifies, 3rd chapter. So, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kabunoi, Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte, the hearing, again, hearing, etc., chanting, serving, all the 9 processes, but beginning with hearing. The consciousness becomes purified, and Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte, Kodaye Udoi, and that prema naturally awakens. It naturally awakens. It's already there. In other words, we're trying to clearing out all the dirt that's preventing us from experiencing what's actually our birthright. You see? That's why all over the world, it's proved, every race, every age, every economic, it doesn't matter. If you follow the process, and seriously, according to the rules and regulations given by the Guru Sadhu Shastra, then you will progress in devotional service. Nobody is barred. That was Lord Chaitanya's great revolution. Not just the Brahmins, not just the smartest or whatever, but actually everyone, even the lowest, can be purified. So this is, all these qualities are evidence of advancement in devotional service. At the same time, they're kind of markers we can strive for. We can say, okay, Advaishta Sabha, that was the first one. Remember, Advaishta. Advaishta Sabhavuta Maitra Karunejita. To be envious of no one and friendly toward everyone. Well, how do I realize that? Okay, you do that, which is the most friendly thing. You try to give him Krishna consciousness. You give him some prasadam, In other words, and then we do that, Krishna from within the heart say, oh, he's doing the most friendly thing, introducing people to me, then I'll give him more purification and more bliss, So this is how these develop. But this is a very very concise chapter, one of the shortest, I think, the shortest chapter, along with one other chapter, I think 15 also. But it's essential, all about bhakti, and we're now almost through. We'll finish it tomorrow. Okay, Vijay Prabhu, you got your question in. Therefore, the class is complete. No?
Dravida Prabhu, wonderful answer to my question. Thank you very much. But if I may, were you expecting a different question from my part today?
I'm sorry?
Were you expecting a different question from me today?
No. I didn't mean to say that.
Okay, so thank you for your wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Prabhu. And we're going to see you tomorrow morning too?
Of course, every day.
Okay.
The Srimad, San Diego daily discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam is indispensable. I cannot miss it.
Do you live near a temple, by the way, or this is basically a sangha you get from through the Zoom, through the internet?
Sorry, Prabhu?
Do you live near a temple?
No, I am the temple president.
Yeah? How many devotees you have there?
Oh, this is the Azores archipelago. These are the 9 little Portuguese islands. I am the only Hare Krishna here.
That's what I thought. Well, you're doing very well.
Well, to be exact, we have 2, because I have been cultivating one young gentleman,
okay.
and
all right,
finally he surrendered fully.
Oh, that's great. Prabhu, we have to get ready for kirtan. We'll see you tomorrow. Hare Bo.
Tomorrow, Hare Krishna.
Glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Temple president.